Hello, Targar friends. Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here. And once again, it's time for another Orc Mode workout, and today was Max Effort Bench Press Day. Do you guys know the rules? Reach down and click like down below. Help keep those likes higher than the dislikes. You guys know they run a bot. And if you're a fan of these and just click a like, it's not that hard. Most of you guys aren't doing it. I'd appreciate it though. Alright, so today's going to give you guys a much better idea of what I'm about to flow into with the 4-day-a-week training. I'm going to finish this week out through tomorrow. Tomorrow will be a squat day. And then we're going to ease into Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday with restoration in between. Now, some people are going to say, you're going to do a bunch of GPP? Nope. Nope, I'm just going to eat less on my off days because I don't need the extra calories if I'm not training. But I am going to do restoration workouts. It's going to be reverse hypers, triceps, all that stuff, abs. All this stuff's going to be done. But we're going to do a lot more volume on my 4 days. Right? We are going to make sure that we get maximum growth everywhere that we need it and really paying attention to certain things. We know where we need to go with the benching. We're seeing the benching creep back up already in spite of me overreaching. Okay, I got a nice challenging single here. I didn't take it to failure. Now, when I go over to 4-day-a-week training, there's not going to be a lot of that nonsense of, well, that felt challenging, I'm going to need to do true maxes. Then lots of supplemental work. And no, it's not just going to be 20 sets after. It's going to be a lot of work. We're going to do it very similar to how a West Side would do it their max effort days. But we're going to have 2 bench, 1 squat, 1 deadlift day. But you guys will see the sort of stuff that we're going to add in. Now, floor presses were a little challenging today, but it was a little better. I went narrower. First, I didn't. But this still doesn't feel great on my shoulder, even with my medium grip here. And I got 10 with this. And I decided to back the fractional plates off. I need to slowly build this back up. We got to build this up. And after the first set, I went over to a true close grip for me. Instead of this medium, I went with pretty much the fingers touching the smooths. Right? True close grip. And honestly, it felt a lot better. Do I lose a little bit of strength? Sure. Felt great on my shoulder, though, and that's the main thing. Just making sure I'm keeping that shoulder health and not putting it in bad positions. So, again, we just have to pay attention to those things. And it's not that I'm getting pain or inflammation. It's just that it feels a little discomfort there from that area that had been inflamed. So we need to make sure we don't irritate it. The closer grip works. And I'm not worried about not getting enough chest. Floor press hits chest pretty hard, no matter what you do. And I do dips after. And the dips really light my chest up. This is meant to be building the muscles of my close grip bench is really what this is for, without being able to use a leg drive, while being strict, making sure my pecs and my triceps do get worked really hard. Hey, this is my main bench builder. Even when we're doing 5x10, it's still a bench builder. We're hypertrophying all the muscles of the bench the way they're pretty much used on the bench, but with no leg drive. And notice again, with a closer grip, still I can touch my chest, in spite of the long wingspans, because I'm thick enough, I can do it, it's fine. So we are getting full range of motion. It's just removing the leg drive. And again, lets me use a lighter weight because of no leg drive so that we can recover better. Because I'm going to do 10 sets of this every week. It's going to be 5 sets both bench days. All right, this is the first pressing motion, and this is going to be a mainstay. We know my floor press directly carries over to my bench, over and over and over and over and over. Right, that's been repeated all through my history. It just needs to stay in. Can I do variations? You bet. I got 3 different bars. We got 3 different bars we can use for this. And I can throw chains on if I have to. Right? Because I'm going to overdevelop my triceps. And lockout is often my weak link on this due to triceps. But if they get overdeveloped and it becomes less of an issue, I can throw chains on it. It's fine. But again, 5x10, and I went with, like I said, the closest grip because it feels the best on my shoulder. And I'm not as worried about losing chest recruitment because we do dips after. That's the beauty of it. Dips are probably one of the best chest exercises anyways. So no big deal. Not a big deal at all. And especially against the bands. But here's the beauty. As I've said before, if we start to have overuse from this, I have other barbells. I can go with the axle bar. I can go with my football bar, and the football bar has a couple different grips. So by having the two different grips, it's basically two different bars, really. So that basically gives me the equivalent of 4 barbells. So I can always throw light chains over if we need overuse, right? Even just light chains thrown over that gives me 8 different floor presses. That's infinite variation. That is infinite variation if we're worried about overuse, stalling, anything like that. Because we do need to be increasing. And if this doesn't increase very soon, I'll switch bars. Novel training response. Keep it moving. And that is the idea of it. We just keep doing tons and tons of floor pressing while trying to increase on it. Trying to increase the 10 rep sets. But it'll be a lot of volume, guys, because everything's only going to be hit twice a week. And I need to make sure I get 10 quality sets for every muscle. 10 quality sets, both workouts. And that may even apply to the squat and the deadlift. That means quads and hamstrings both days. It's going to be a lot of work, but it doesn't matter because I have 3 days off from training. I don't care. I'm not even worried. I'm so used to doing high volume 7 days a week that to me the idea, oh no, an extra exercise or two, but only 4 days? Nothing. And we did our dips. The first set was a little rough. I struggled to get my groove on this first set, and it's really because I got too far up the bars. And my issue with that is that I start trying to avoid hitting my chest on the piece in the front. So after that, I had to go a little further back. I had to get the bands adjusted. And I did 10 on the first 4. I ended up getting like 13 on the last set. But that's fine. I'll just try to increase reps a little more as I go. The early sets, I'll try to get more. But I need to come a little further back. I need to be right about in the middle. I obviously don't want to be on the very end because that's too wide. But that middle grip, it does let me get a really good balance of chest and tricep. And with that middle grip right there, I can still keep the elbows back and I get that deep stretch reflex in the chest, particularly with the bands. Right? The bands really hammer your chest on this. And, that's come up before. Someone has said, why is that? When in theory, it sounds like it should hit the triceps harder. But what you feel is the chest. And again, I think it comes down to the fact that just like on speed benching against bands, you get an overspeed eccentric. Like you're fighting the eccentric a little bit on the way down. That when you reverse it, because this is a stretch reflex type exercise where you get a stretch on the pecs at the bottom, it really activates that stretch reflex, and you get a deep contraction in your pecs back on the way up. And I think it's because it may either be the eccentric involved, or it may be because you get a stretch reflex out of the bottom, and then you hit the bands on the way up. And we know that a stretch reflex movement a lot of times forces you to contract harder at the lockout. There has been some data on that over the last couple decades. So because you're then contracting harder on the way up, after the stretch reflex, maybe against those bands is what causes it. But it is definitely feels very chest dominant. Although obviously triceps are working because we're doing dips against bands. I mean, biomechanically, that's going to be a very, very potent tricep exercise. But again, also enormous pec exercise. So it's really hitting both. Now, people would say, well, what about the delts? No, actually, the dips don't really work delts that well. That's why you don't want to go too deep on them. They just seem to tear your shoulder joint up. They don't really work delts that effectively, all things considered. The floor press, you're going to feel more in your front delts. So if you get anything feeling in your delts on a dip, it's usually pain. All right, upper back. We're going to do upper back every workout. I'm only training 4 days a week. So we're going to stick with the axle bar rows on the squat and deadlift days because we need the grip training. Inverted rows. Now, people are going to say, is this really work? Yeah, with a grip like that, when you pull to the upper chest to it, and it's a little bit wider grip like that versus what my normal Pendlay rows are, yeah, I really, really, really feel the whole upper back. Rhomboids, middle traps, obviously lats. I mean, you feel lats and everything too, but mainly look at the angles involved. This is really intended for my upper back. Yes, it will work the lats. This is almost like doing a rear delt row though, even though this is inverted row, because I'm not low down on the chest, so I'm not doing it with a really narrow grip. I'd probably be able to do a lot more reps. But in this case, I'm trying to make sure it hammers the upper back a little more. Obviously, you feel lats. Yes, lats are worked. But we're trying to make an upper back dominant exercise. So I want posterior delts, mid and lower traps, rhomboids, all of that. We want to hammer them. And it did. I did about approximately 12 reps, like 5 sets of 12. Lit that area up, and it's good. And I can always put a block under my feet. I can always raise my feet later on these. So I can add resistance, but I could just do these to failure with body weight. Unless the reps start getting too high and get the desired effect. Because again, the angle that I'm using specifically of pulling that bar to my upper chest, it's almost like a reverse incline bench, right? And with, again, a slightly wider grip than I would normally use for most rows. Posterior delts, traps, all of that. This is an upper back exercise. Why? I need more upper back. Okay, I need my upper back to keep growing. I need that thickness. My bench needs it. Okay, my rear delts and stuff are still, I feel like, a weak point, in spite of all the rowing I do. So we're going to have two forms of rows. Right, we're going to do 5 sets of my pen lay rows with the axle bars on lower body days. Right, I know it's rows, but I'm standing, so it still has isometrics in the lower body. It counts. Then we're going to do this because this is a little more bench specific and a little more upper back, and we need the upper back and shoulders. They're going to have to be trained on bench days. Upper back, delts, triceps, all going to have to be priorities on bench days. Then we did the floor jam presses. They're going to be a mainstay. But we have options. Again, it starts to become an issue. What can we do? Reverse bands? Do chains? Whatever I need to do. I feel like the way I'm doing them, as long as I keep it 10 reps or higher, I should be fine. These, as I got into the groove, I was able to get more reps. I started with 12s, and they felt kind of easy. And as I went up, I started doing more. And I think on the final set, I did 15. We did 15 on the final set. So I need to start slowly bumping this weight up. I need to add micro plates, but keep this form. This form felt really good in the triceps. And it makes sense because, again, I'm gripping just like I do the closed grip bench or the closed grip floor press. So it's no wonder I feel the triceps so similar. That's probably my sweet spot. Right? What are we using this for? We're using this to build my triceps on the floor press. Floor press, my main builder. The triceps do seem to be the limiting factor. Build the triceps. Kind of comes back to what you see guys like Louis Simmons say. I've heard him say, and again, his exact words, hey, I know if I increase a closed grip bench press, the bench will go up, but how do I increase closed grip bench? Right? Think downstream. We build the weak link in the floor press, so we have to overdevelop the triceps. Okay? I'm not saying we don't build pecs. My first 2 exercises are pecs. It's 10 sets for pecs. So I don't want anyone to say, oh, he's going to neglect the pecs completely for triceps. No. We do 10 sets, but we have to make sure the triceps get overdeveloped. We need them as strong as possible. Because how am I going to build my pecs on the floor press, my triceps with a weak link? We bring the triceps up. Okay. Same thing. We need more upper back. We need the stability on the bench. All right, I need that whole upper back, which the next exercise will highlight. I'm starting very light on it, by the way. And it's an exercise that I do want to point out is counterindicated because people do it wrong. And I start with a medium grip and go even wider, and that's going to be the upright row. Now, I want people to pay attention to what I do with it. I want you to note that I use a wide grip and we don't go up all the way. My range of motion is relatively short. We pull to the chest. Why? That's how we avoid injuries on this movement. This movement has a history of hurting people who do it incorrectly, risk of shoulder impingement. Okay? That's because they pull to their chin and they pull with a very, very narrow grip. You do not want to be any closer than shoulder width. Now, might I eventually replace this with high pulls? I might. But upright rows, and I used to do these many, many, many years ago, and I quit doing them. I haven't really done them since really I've been a YouTuber. Not really. I used to do tons of these with a wide grip when I was in my 20s. Probably contributed to my bench. But again, we worry about counterindications, but this is the safe way to do these. But I will stress, you don't go higher than the chest. You keep the grip wide. What are we building here? All 3 heads of the delt, the traps, whole upper back. Obviously, there's going to be some bicep and stuff involved. All right. We're building the whole shoulder girdle and upper back. Stuff we need to stabilize the bench. But you need to be careful with this exercise. I'm not kidding about the range of motion and the grip width. That it is considered to be a counterindicated exercise. This is fine. I've never had a shoulder issue doing it this way. And coaches who look at it will see, yeah, this is fine. It's the other way that's a problem. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.